Hello fellow heroes, I'm Action Smacchan, the 2-in-1 hero made up of a virus from the 70s, and a guy who likes to make things, and today I'm going back to making things. I am going to go ahead and continue on the project that we have been building on the channel that involves 1. A childhood friend, 2. A school uniform, and 3. It is a school with superheroes in it. Also 4, it is very much inspired by a past project that I started with a visual novel, but I am hoping to go a little bit further with the concept. Although it was a visual novel available on itch.io, it is now delisted, so that in the future we could just have this one instead. But yeah, it is very much a story-centric thing, so it would probably help to have a story for it hammered out a bit. And that's what I'm trying to get through today. I'm going to try to get some story done. I'm going to go ahead and attack this outline. I don't know how how this is exactly going to go structurally as a video. I'm definitely going to have to make cuts, and this is definitely going to take a while. But you know, we'll see where this goes. But yeah, kind of piggybacking off of the original concept, I do have the main character. So I'm gonna go ahead and write this down. Alright, so yeah, when I'm outlining, I kind of want to just make sure I have all of the pieces that I want to include just kind of spilt out in front of me. So I'm going to say Hiro, who is the protagonist of the visual novel as well as the narrator, so we get both his internal conflicts as well as how he is expressing himself and kind of seeing like the filter between his thoughts and what he expresses with people. So I still want to build off of that idea with the juxtaposition between Hiro's internal monologues and his dialogues. I want to keep that, so Hiro is the main character. Groovy. Let's see here. So it also helps to note all of the things about Hiro. He is well, pun may or may not be intended. He is an OC that I came up with when I was maybe around 7 or 8. So Hiro is a hero. I like to believe he is at this point around a 20 or so. Age 20, might even bump it up to 21. For now, I'll go with 21. Since he is going to be quite experienced as a hero, quite accomplished, but he is not super recognized as a hero in the larger community. But the people who had Hiro kind of help them out in their lives do recognize him as someone who's influenced them, and in so being a hero. And that is going to be a large premise, a large thing in the premise, I think. Hiro is the main character, and conceptually as he runs into other people in school, i.e. the alma mater Wonderland setting. They too are heroes who recognize Hiro as a hero. But yep, as I said before, the school is a school for superheroes, or rather, a school with superheroes in it. Well, it's not necessarily like a My Hero Academia. We're here to teach you how to be a hero. Nope. This is a sort of an abstract construct of a high school in a sort of subspace where mysteriously some of the most accomplished heroes of the world are finding themselves in. So I should probably also define that inside of the outline. So Modern Wonderland. And there we go. But where to take this? See, hammering out all of these like kind of initial concepts is very good for having your exposition kind of mapped out. So you don't necessarily have to dump it out. You might be able to take each concept in the exposition and kind of try to come up with other more organic ways to show them as you try to flesh out the storyline. For example, first thing I probably want to establish pretty early on is, the main character, Hiro. And for me to do that, I have to establish kind of about how old he is supposed to be, about how experienced he is as a person, which goes into how old he is. While it's not, the chief indicator of a person's experience, you could go through a whole lot when you're a kid, but we also get, from being around age 21, you're not going to be quite as angsty or quite as lost as you were when you were probably 15 or so. He has a few more things figured out for himself, has a couple of decades of understanding the world under his belt, and probably his share of failures at that point, but still has a whole lot to look forward to. Let's see here. Then the setting itself, if you plop somebody straight into Alma Mater Wonderland, it's kind of a tough setting to kind of take in because you have to again establish that it's not like an actual school as much as it is just kind of the abstract concept of a school. So it's not going to be within an actual school system, but it's going to be how someone might perceive a school to be. General education is not the goal. Is not the prime curriculum of Alma Mater Wonderland. There we go. So yeah, well, some of them might actually be still school aged. I could probably get some teenagers, and you might get some younger kids, maybe around 10 or so. As long as they have been established as a hero or a superhero / accomplished. But yeah, I guess this is kind of going off of my experience with Blue Reflection. Because, aside from just having the game already, and kind of thinking that it is a pretty cool looking game, as I am a fan of JRPGs, and I do like my magical girls. But if you kind of look at how it uses the school setting, it is kind of just a microcosm for the melodrama of the students. Now, I don't really mean that condescendingly, right? But it's not the people here are all concerned over, the fate of the world or something. It's going to be destroyed, although that does become an issue, but not necessarily for everybody. in the game to involve themselves in. But it is still a large focus on like personal matters and how not only the characters who are experiencing the conflict, it also becomes how the main character girl relates to the conflict and how she applies her own viewpoint to it and helps the other students in her school grow and also overcome their issues. Although she may not have like the full answer, but she can set them in a direction where they could eventually resolve the issues in their lives. And that is part of why I fell in love with the game, is because of how the main character is utilized in becoming this heroic figure, not for being necessarily the person who saves the world, but being a hero who helps the people around her in this microcosm, in this school very specifically. And I feel like that's not necessarily something that you see in all kind of a similar anime and gaming landscape, is, you know, the school being this microcosm with its own scope of issues that are still important to explore and resolve. Because like there does just tend to be like a tendency for us to be all like, oh well, this is a school, we have to go learn something that the school teaches us, and what we learn here is being a superhero, being a hunter, being a warrior, whatever. And then we go here for like a few episodes, and then the rest of the series we're fighting God or something. And that's not really exactly what school is, you know. So that's why I kind of fell in love with Blue Reflection, what it was doing, and kind of it was very like reciprocal to what I wanted to see with like a school setting. So what does this mean for Alma Mater Wonderland? Because one thing about growing up is that you just kind of, not only do you know, grow and learn and overcome yourself, but you also find that you always kind of have to continuously find parts of yourself to grow, and other conflicts tend to scale up with you. Now, Hiro. Hiro is special in his own ways. You know, again, he is a hero in his own right and has helped many people. But just like, you know, the other people in this school, Hiro does have his own issues that need to be worked out. If you listen to the visual novel that, you know, inspired this current project, I do delve into his conflict, in that he does have some sort of regret that he has been repressing. A sort of dream that he's forgotten, a promise he wasn't be able to fulfill, and yet has some regrets about it. And all involving someone that he cannot remember. And I kind of want to attack the same issue for him in here. And this is where the childhood friend character comes in. As much as he cares about them, as much as he likes their company, their existence in the Alma Mater Wonderland might be a little bit more anomalous. What I want to do with this character is kind of have them be the person from the prototype game that Hiro wanted to see but couldn't because he forgot. They're the one that he made the promise to, but was not able to fulfill it. And I want to manifest those emotions into this childhood friend character. There we go. Well, that's not all. I want to also establish that this childhood friend, it does feel very present. That this childhood friend is here right now. There. Yeah, but of course, getting to this plot twist is going to have to take considerable amount of time. I want to be really convincing that the childhood friend really is here, that this is a real person, of what they are instead of the actual person. There we go. So yeah, the childhood friend that Hiro knows is an actual person. That's not necessarily the entity that Hiro is accompanied by throughout this story. What the entity is actually a construct made by Alma Mater Wonderland based off of what Hiro believes his childhood friend would be today, as opposed to the actual person. All right. But yeah, I think that should be kind of a theme throughout, right? Theme of ideal. There we go. And that's a very superhero-esque issue, right? Where superheroes tend to have to live sort of double lives, or have to sort of, in some way, be in conflict between what they have to be as a superhero versus what they want and need as just a regular person and human being. You kind of see that a lot in some of my favorites, right? You're gonna see that a whole lot in like Tiger and Bunny. You have a whole lot of Kotetsu. Have a whole lot of just the superhero community having to deal with their personal problems as people, but also have to deal with the larger world of that needs the superheroes to exist. Again, and I will always bring up Kashan every time I am able to, but I will bring up Kashan when discussing this concept, because it is very much Kashan is very much at odds with his own personal identity, because he was Tetsuya Azuma, was born as Tetsuya Azuma, a regular human being. But Tetsuya Azuma had to be given up as soon as the Andro Force and Breaking Boss came out and instantaneously took over 1/3 of the world. And Tetsuya had to give up his life to become Kashan, because you can't just make a Shinzo Ningen. You can't just make the android human hybrid without destroying the original person. So as far as Kashan is concerned, Tetsuya Azuma does not exist anymore. The human Tetsuya does not exist anymore. But you kind of need Tetsuya in Kashan, in the series, in the world, because it is the fact that he was Tetsuya that makes him different from Breaking Boss, who is always a robot and has his prejudice against humanity. And it is also important that Kashan is a robot so that he could fight against robots, but is also himself a robot, so he can sympathize with the prejudice against robots. But he also understands, as Tetsuya, the robot prejudice against humans. But does Tetsuya exist? Is there only Kashan? Can Tetsuya come back? It is a constant struggle with the symbol, the persona, and the ideal against the actual person. And I think that is something that we can sit here and apply thematically to every superhero that is going to pop up in Alma Mater Wonderland. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this concept here, because that's important. That's going to be important. I'm going to need to remember that the entire time. So I'm going to try to highlight that. If I could remember how to highlight on this. What did I do? I don't know what I did. Is it... Let's color, highlight. There we go. I'm gonna highlight there. I'm gonna use a cooler color. I like green. I always favored the green highlighter. Like back when I was in elementary school or whatever, or middle school, when they would be all like, all right, here's a highlighter. I'll highlight the important stuff while we go through this text. And I'll be right on. Give me the green highlighter. It looks nice. There you go. I'm also going to copy and paste this up here where I'm talking about the conflicts. Yeah. Here we go. Because that is going to be just a universal sort of conflict for superheroes, man. So it's going to be important. I'm going to tackle it in all sorts of different ways, I think, because it would be very dependent on what the hero symbolizes or the persona that they want to project, or the ideal that they hold for themselves and for the community that they're a part of. That could definitely mean a bunch of different things for a bunch of different kinds of heroes. And of course, the juxtaposition between, that ideal and the actual person is going to differ a whole lot. Pretty similar to how there is that juxtaposition between the way hero expresses himself outwardly and the internal conflicts that he has as he narrates. So yeah, again, the symbol, persona, and ideal against the actual person. I think it is a good thing for me to highlight and keep in mind as I proceed through this storyline. But yeah, I think brainstorming concepts, this is pretty good. So I'm going to run with that a little bit. I'm going to see if I can't now just kind of start the actual story part. All right, here's the actual story part. Actual narrative. Okay, so thinking about the actions, just kind of think about the story beats. Where am I going to go with this? First thing I want to start with is Hiro. So what is he feeling as he does this? I think I would like to emphasize the idea that there is a little bit of a surreal nature to it. Or maybe a better word is to describe it as romanticized. So I think to sum it up, it is an anime high school. There we go. In a single term, I think it is an anime high school. That could just kind of be in the prose in how I describe the setting. But it's going to be just kind of an anime school, you know? And how does he feel about it? Yeah. And all things considered, he notes how how he feels when he enters the classroom, and it is just a classroom. Hero. I should also note that this Dreamlight is comfortable, but also a bit alien. There we go. It's not a place that he's familiar with, is what I mean by that. He's not familiar with it because Hiro is forced into a situation where he does constantly have to move around, is constantly a bit of a vagrant, constantly out on an adventure, because he himself lives a pretty romanticized, quixotic life. And in being such, he is how he had ended up being a hero to many of the other heroes of that are going to appear in Alma Mater Wonderland. Alright, so first thing, Hiro enters a classroom in Alma Mater Wonderland. In the classroom is the childhood friend. I'm gonna name her Riri, and that's for me. So like I said before, Hiro is actually a character that I made up back when I was a little kid. I was a little kid, probably around 8, maybe 7 or so. I made up this character. But he wasn't really made up on his own. Or rather, he wasn't really made up to be on his own all the time. I did make him his own childhood band of friends. And among those friends is Miss Riri. Or Lily, depends. I was aware that that it could be read as either Riri or Lily, but for some reason I just kind of favor R-I. Coincidentally, there was a manga called Zodiac P.I. who just happened to also star characters of the same name, also starring Hiro and Riri, although it's a shoujo manga. Where the main character, her name is Riri. Sometimes they they localized it into Lily with the L's instead. It really depended. I just thought it was a weird coincidence. It was a manga that my brother picked up at some point when he was in high school or so. I just thought the coincidence was really funny, and I found it very charming. But I definitely came up with the characters before that manga entered my sphere, you know? And conceptually, the characters were different. Mine were very childlike, shonen adventure kind of characters. Those were the kind of stories that I would write for them, make up for them, you know? But yeah, that's just a side note. Right, so yeah, from here on out, I will refer to the childhood friend as Riri. There you go. So Hiro enters the classroom, and Riri, recognizable as his childhood friend, is waiting for him to take his seat, or rather to join her as she is already in her seat, as if this is a classroom that they always go to. Well, that's how does Hiro feel as he sees Riri sitting there? It might be pretty akin to just how he feels when he thinks about the character in his dream in the Alma Mater Wonderland prototype story. So there is a sense of, maybe I should think of it as amore. There you go. An amorous aura surrounding her. So I guess she feels very close, and yet so far. Oh yeah, since this is written pretty much from Hiro's viewpoint, we're not going to really it's going to be hard to get a full read on what Riri is thinking as she is waiting for Hiro expectantly to arrive. But I think that it should be Yeah, it's very good. And then, what else other than I do think that they should have a moment of small talk. Small talk, led by Riri. Yeah, she's going to be the first to try to establish the relationship. Be the first to start the conversation, and she'll kind of lead Hiro and as well as the viewer into the sense of familiarity because she talks to him so familiar. And but again, this should contrast with his narration, if there is like narration, right? I mean, there should be still other ways to express the unfamiliarity, but if there is narration, and I'm probably going to put some form of narration, some form of, you know, contrasting Hiro's the persona that he projects, contrasted with his internal thoughts and conflicts. Like, he's not going to internally say, oh, this girl's not familiar, but his observations of the surrounding, of the setting should his narration of the setting and the observations of the moment should kind of give the signal that he's not actually very familiar, as familiar as the conversation that they're having is letting on. Oh man, I have to be very careful about the about when I get to the part where I actually write the dialogue for this. It's going to be kind of crazy. Let's see here. So they talk, they feel familiar, or rather, so thing 1, Hiro enters. 2, there's already somebody sitting here. 3, and they talk like they're friends. And then 4, we go into the 2 realize that nobody else is here, although there should be, because it is a classroom. It is whatever time it is, since class is about to start. And I will have, as pointed out by Riri, because she is a thing of this school, again, a construct the school created for Hiro to recognize, you know. So yeah, so Riri is going to be the one who points out that this school, or that there's nobody else here, nobody else in the classroom. All right, cool. From there, they leave the classroom to explore. And it is a game, so it would help the player kind of find things, explore the school, you know, interact with the world around them. And I think this might be a moment where they are attacked by something. As there are often with like JRPGs, with the school setting, there is kind of like another world factor to them. Like in Blue Reflection, there is you know, the school, but there's also kind of like the other realm of consciousness or whatever. I forgot what it's called. But that's where they like fight demons and whatever, fight monsters. Although I have not played a bunch of like Persona games, my biggest exposure to Persona is when I was maybe in middle school, maybe into high school. I was watching my older brother play Persona 3 FES on the PS2. So my biggest exposure to Persona was, watching him play that. And of course, I had like Persona 4 around me, because it had like a voice cast that I thought was really cool, that I really endeared myself to, because I've said it once and I will say it 50 million other times. I do like me, my Johnny Young Bosch. And although he didn't play like a very, very huge speaking roles in that game, because he was, Yu Narukami, the main character. He was also Adachi. I was excited, that he was in it. Same thing with Yuri Lowenthal. He was in it as well. Vic Mignogna. I really liked him at the time. And there was also, what's her name? Michelle Ruff. Oh my gosh, I feel like I could just like name all the voices in Persona 3 and 4 that I liked a lot back then, because I was really close to the time when I was really getting into voice acting fandom. But anyway, I haven't actually played a whole bunch of Persona games, but point is, I do recognize that, there is like kind of like the top world where, you do a whole bunch of social stuff, life stuff, but there's also like the other world, the Tartarus, the TV world, and I'm going to incorporate kind of that same thing into this story, into this take on schools, this take on RPG school with heroes. A portal, where should I put it? Maybe on the roof. On the school's roof. Just because it's just kind of a place off of the usual path of most students, I guess. Let's see here, they defeated the monsters. They found out where monsters are coming from. So what do they do now? They choose. Okay, Riri decides. And Hero's just kind of following along with it. Just kind of going with it. He goes with the flow, man. Hero goes with the flow. Riri decides not to worry about it further. And says they should go back to the classroom since class is starting. Maybe there's even like a bell. There you go, let's go bell. Yeah. And the room is populated with the top superheroes. All of whom seem to recognize Hero. And not only is the classroom now populated, as Hero looks again toward the hallway they entered from, it too is fully populated with superhero that are now students. There we go. And that is the beginning, man. That is the start of the game. Yeah, I've got a pretty solid concept for me to work off of as far as, starting this story. Of course, I'm gonna need more stuff, you know. I think as just kind of just initial, this is how the game is, where it's going. I think this is a pretty good place to start. There's a whole lot of mystery, but then there's the action, you know, there's the setting, there's the superheroes, and then we could immediately just go into, you know, dealing with the other students and their problems while also figuring out the school life of Alma Mater Wonderland. Alright, I'm pretty excited about this start. But yeah, I'm gonna stop this here, and then we're gonna progress a little bit as in the next installment. If you guys had as much fun as I did developing this narrative, go ahead and give this video a like and share it with a friend so that they too can enjoy in being a fellow hero. Also, if you have not, go ahead and action smack that subscribe button so that you could keep up with future installments. Also, if you have not noticed, I am currently streaming on Twitch these days as well as on YouTube. I do invite you to join me Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Do follow me on Twitch as well as continue to be my fellow hero on YouTube. I could use the support wherever you're willing to lend a hand. And as always, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in the next Smacchan Pact adventure.
Action Smacchan!